Hello, my lovers. It's MJ from Alta Love. How are you? So, I'm live right now and I want to talk to you guys about shape shifting your reality. Ultimately, trusting your intuition versus feeding the evidence, feeding the circumstantial reality, which is obviously the dominant program of old paradigm, is focusing too much on the external reality and not trusting our intuition enough. And this has come off of the back of those of you who have been watching and following my own personal journey and the journey of Ultra Love. Will know the intensities and some of the fears that we have to face and our underlying emotional baggage, as it were, or karma, or what have you, facing that down within our own personal field, i.e., the emotional awareness, the trigger points that it stimulates when we're endeavoring conscious transformation, and then the layers, the sheaths, as it were, that we burn through via that emotional gate and the facing. And in the language of the Fearless Life Guide, my book, is owning and transforming our emotional density. And today I got some really powerful intuition around letting go of all the different social media platforms and basically just focusing solely on the YouTube, because that's where I enjoy being. It's the platform that I enjoy the most, and it is, for me personally, the primary joy of being able to share this journey with you. And so I feel joyful to share with you this shapeshift for myself in my personal journey, to not be on all the different social medias and just be focusing here with you. This is ultimately where the core of the online community has been felt by myself, and so this is where I want to focus my service and focus my my givingness. You guys know that now we have a new platform with the Live Share crew, so that's an intimate circle of people who do pay. There's a range of price points that you can, hey John, how are you, that you can sign up to. So if you're part of the Live Share crew, you basically get an email around when we're going to go live, and we can enjoy the live time together. And the point being that when you offer one of the price points, when you make an investment, we can noodle on things with a little bit more specificity, and I can address some of your questions and queries and insights around all this paradigm shift energy. I know, John, let's party. Let's effing party for sure. This is a huge part of me taking this next leap in shape-shifting my reality, is finding greater life balance and fighting and enjoying my time on earth, ultimately, enjoying my time as an online entrepreneur in greater harmony and balance with the truth of my soul. After years and years and years of owning and transforming my own emotional, I call it the karmic backlog, and feeling as though I'm really ready to take a leap into this next phase of my own journey. And that has to do with feeling a lot more joy, feeling a lot more presence, feeling a lot more engaged with the work that I'm doing and the community that I am engaged with. So I appreciate you guys immensely. And I suppose part of the worthiness of this share is the truth of listening to the intuition, and ultimately at times how radical it can feel, because of the dominant programming of our collective reality, and how for many generations and ages we've been engaged with the perception of separation, the perception that our world is separate from us, that and then via that separation, wounding or choice that we made, giving power to externals, giving power to systems and people and organizations that have sort of layered what I call distortion in the truth of our creatorship, in the truth of our divinity as beings here on this planet. And some of you who do know the story here, it's that I've been guided by my own heartfelt desire for and insight into a paradigm shift on this planet, which is far beyond our personal, you could say probably egoic desire, and much more aligned with the heart of humanity and the heart of an awakened and evolved humanity to live more in accordance with that divine law, which is beyond and deeper than the wound of separation and the old paradigm that we call it. And that has to do with dissolving control patterns, dissolving fear patterns ultimately, and being a much more alive species in regard to our connection to our aliveness or sentience, which has to do with feeling empathy and feeling compassion and feeling our heart ultimately, versus following a program dictated to via that external reality, which of course is born out of our own separation wounding and whatever soul contracts we have with other people in the world, primarily people close to us, family members and our close friends. And ultimately, the way I see it is, yes, John, yay, go round, cleaning up this. And again, I call it, John's read the book, so he's aware of it, the ground control vibrational cleaning crew. So those of us on this leading edge of conscious creatorship, and endeavoring to take these bold leaps into the unknown in a truth and beyond heartfelt desire to create a more harmonious world, to create a more loving world where we genuinely support one another, we give. And that again is another teaching in the book as far as shape-shifting that reality, to give of self, to create, to share that which you desire to create. What up, Roots? I thought of you actually when I was coming on to do this share, because I am aware that you're not on social media either. And you guys have been here with me with regards to that shape-shifting, and the different, the polarities that I've swung between, the contrast that I've swung between around feeling this need to chase and to do and to more and more and give more and more. And for a lot of us, the polarity here and or part of the shape-shifting is to address where that is coming from. Hello, Lorna, what? You know, to address, this is again my own personal experience, my own personal perspective, and how much I love this community, this YouTube community of shapeshifters, of feelers, empaths, intuitive introverts, you know, and how much love there really is to share and to give. And again, in the book, the main teaching here is to recognize that in our giving of self, that is our service to one another. And it doesn't necessarily look like anything. In any given moment, our service might just be holding space for other. In any given moment, our service might be doing laundry. In any given moment, our service might be resting, you know, because the self-care really does go so deep to heal these distortions in our own personal field. And of course, our own personal transformation is the transformation of the world as we know it, as we've been programmed to buy into it, and which is the quick fix materiality of greed and what we call the human ego, in as far as these programs that we've all been indoctrinated with over the ages via the separation wounding of the human collective consciousness. And that, for whatever reason, is born out of a distortion of truth, in a denial of our oneness and our unity and our connectedness and our divinity and our light ultimately. And we can own that as our own. At the same time, we don't need to continue to carry the burden of it. And that is something I feel with this most recent shapeshift and choice that I'm making of you know, propagating a message or sharing or feeling like I'm somehow responsible for the world, or feeling like, you know, and that all that is doing within my own awareness is or addressing these resentments and this sort of resentment of like, bah, You know, why don't people care more, or how can people be so blind? And ultimately, these are my own projections. And the truth is that that's not really what I see anymore. You know, like I see people, what up? Hello, my lovers. Hi, Chic. How are you? Um, and the truth is, I'm truly in my reality meeting people who are fully awakened, and people, more and more people who are finding their way, navigating the truth of their own creatorship and or not, and whether people want to or not, that's not my that's not my burden to carry, you know. And I feel with these times that we're living in, taking these bold leaps into the unknown, but an ultimate faith of our own joyful presence here, in our own abundant light here, in our own unified desire for a more harmonious world and a more fair and just systems of operation that ultimately uphold the truth of our divinity and the truth of our power, which is also in alignment with the intelligence of our species, to not just blindly destroy ourselves in this beautiful planet, but to live in harmony with regenesis, to live in harmony with what we might call the Christed state of our own evolution, and knowing that we all have a different path of ascension via descension, because we want to live here, because we want to enjoy the abundance of this universe, and the abundance and the support of this life. And that's something I got really powerful last night, was like these rampages, the beauty of having an open space for my own perspective to noodle and find find that grace from within, and the beauty and the polarity of facing just within this week this aching loneliness, this aching loneliness, and part of the resentment and the burden of, you know, being this semi-awakened human and facing these aspects of reality with such awareness, and then coming all these years just to still be facing down resentments and all these things, and I suddenly realize, oh my goodness, it's not my burden to carry anymore. It's not my, and maybe it never was, and yet I carried it for as long as I carried it, until I was aware enough to release it, you know, and to be able to share in earnest and from a joyful place ultimately. um, and so yeah, last night when I was falling asleep, I was falling asleep inside my own awareness of this rampage, you know, in Abraham Hicks language, like the rampage of the truth of our power, and like knowing deep within that intuitive vessel of like we are the way, we are the light, we are the truth, and yet I can't, and nor would I want to control that truth for other, and try to dictate that knowingness in other, but to simply be a reflection, to simply be someone who's better and better able to hold space in unconditional love, but to also know and have respect for my own personal boundary and my own personal desire and my own personal sense of joyful fulfillment on this planet. And that, of course, as you guys know, because I know you resonate from that intuitive, introspective perspective. Yes, yes, the massive wave, no doubt. There's been another huge wave this week, and it's been clearing out these collective programs of disempowered enslavement, for another layer of upliftment, the desire, test, receive of the polarity of facing down the shadow aspect of how hard we have to work to get by, or how much suffering we have to endure to warrant our own success here. And that's been part of the shadow aspect that I've been facing of like like just my own, like, how much I have to give and be this victim of being in service to everybody all the time, and then but not actually allowing myself to be open to receive my own gift, you know, to be open to receive my own support system, right? This is the theme, this is the theme, right? And then realizing, like, well, it's in me to deshackle the chains of the patterns that I've got myself to at this point, to see them and be like, oh, I'm tired of that. I'm bottoming out with that. I can't change people, nor would I want to. And yet here I am, having created these different platforms, and there's more than enough information for people to access for free, or read the book if they want to know how to shape shift their own reality. Then they can do it for themselves, just like all of us here have done in our own way, in our own time, and via our own intuitive awareness. And that is something that I want to permission all of humanity to make bold changes as they desire to make. And then in my present, physical material reality, to hold space for the people in my reality, and to be friends with the people that I'm friends with. Yeah, exactly. And for me to have those, and this is part of why I embrace the totality of my own journeys, that I have systems in place, and I have a website, and I have online content, which I'm, without being egoically attached to it, which I'm proud of in my own innocent heart through this life that I've lived. I'm proud of the work that I've created. What I'm aware of is that I've done more than enough, and it's time to take a deeper rest, and thus a broader leap into my desired day-to-day reality, which I got to say, doing these shares on YouTube has been such a joy for me. And so I'm sure as long as I'm guided to, it will continue to be a joy to share here with juicy lovers, and to, just be here with you on my early morning wake ups, and post my meditation sessions, and to share these inner rampages of divinity and unity and paradigm shift, and how beautiful our own heart space really is in the unified field, beyond the program, beyond the constructed, previously held belief systems across various timelines, across and your lows. Thank you. Well, and I think you guys know this, is that's been a huge part of my sharing the healing process with you, is I too have been blinded by the marketing campaigns and the sales strategy of various other teachers and wayshowers and conscious manifestors, and people saying just surrender your life to the universe, or just just do this, that, and the other, and you could have all of these things. And I can't dictate that for you. And so it's only ever been my desire to share in earnest, which I've got different beliefs coming in just now, but well, that's not maybe a very successful business model, because I'm not triggering people's unworthiness to keep buying into my own service, right? Or my own sessions, which is why I dissolved the idea of even coaching packages, because in my truth, people only usually need 1 or 2 sessions to break through whatever block they're facing. So why would I hook people into these huge price point, £10,000 or £20,000 price points to work with me, when that's not necessarily my desire anyway, and ultimately it doesn't resonate, and so it's not meant for me. And honoring that, and through the various patterns I've been through of giving power to other, of how to make a business or how to pioneer an online brand, and kind of being at the end of that cycle, reaching the finish line of an effing marathon and going, oh, it's right here. It's right here. It's here with the tribe and the people that have been with me for months, if not years, and who feel me, hey Laurie, and who feel the ultra love mission, because in a sense, with the unified field of paradigm shift, we're all a part of it. That's part of why I've had to learn all the different lessons I've learned in navigating the 3D reality, in this reality, this material world, is like people who are here at this early stage for Ultra Love TV and Ultra Love, you feel me in a very profound, resonant level as being an introvert, of being an intuitive, of being empathic, and thus you know, and very relevant to Unplug for Freedom, the final course in the Be the Change series, you think critically, you think independently, and that is something that a lot of our human brothers and sisters don't have access to just yet. You know, they're still following a program, they're still being dictated to by their parents, they're still, you know, being dictated to by the judgments of other. And those of us here now, I dare reflect back that you are an independent thinker and a pioneer in your own community. You hold space and shine light for people in ways that you could never imagine. And so it's only our inner responsibility to be of service to our own heart, you know, be in service to our own feel good space, which I got to say I'm getting real good at that, especially considering the depth of transformation that I've been facing this whole year and these past few years, and then really getting to the rock bottom of it and going, okay, so what now? You know, what do I really want to do now in this day, in this flow? And because I've moved to Bristol, I'm really now enjoying like having nights out and going to museums and going to yoga classes. And even with that, like some of the yoga classes I'm really enjoying and some of them not as much. And I'll continue to go to the community spaces that I align with and feel supported by and feel in love with, and leave the ones that I don't, because I'm not and I would never expect other people to just assume that all yoga is the same, because it isn't, you know. And truly our inner guidance has to do with our permission to be surrounded by benevolence and grace, and that which we give out, and that we feel deep down to be in resonance with our heart field. For me at this point in my life, it's authenticity, it's fluidity, it's a sense of giving that respect and authenticity and to other, and knowing that other people will find their way just like we have here, just like we have found our way to this all to love community, which I feel is in a unified grace with the divinity of the entire human collective, those who choose to align and vibrate with love, unconditional love, authenticity, truth, in their own way. You know, because I recognize I don't want to manipulate people's minds, and I don't want to control people. It's too much hard work. And I recognize that our truth of service is to align with that truth and then share that with the world. And that can be quite a process. We seem to enjoy these processes, you know, we seem to enjoy having polarity and contrast, so we might as well roll with it, you know, and continue to ride out the densities that I coined the word density in the Fearless Life Guide. Density is just shitty feelings. You know, yesterday, this whole week is just navigating this like this resentment, or navigating this powerlessness, or navigating this fuck me, like I'm so lonely, and like, how did I get to this point, and why am I, you know, and looking at the ancestral baggage, and looking at being raised by a single mom who suffered depression, and being like, well, I grew up with it. I grew up with that level of loneliness, and that, and there is polarity within it. I in my little inner childness. Laurie, I know I did a share earlier this week, didn't I? And I knew that you were vibrating a similar feels around the kind of like loneliness and then the resentment and like all this stuff. And I'm owning it all, and I'm riding it out, getting to this point of like, oh, I don't need to do this, and this anymore. How liberating! What a burden release. And then I'm projecting into my field. How does it feel to really be supported in shape-shifting to the next level? It feels really good to feel like I can show up on my YouTube channel and be supported by y'all as I support you and hold space for you. And only ever in my truth, in earnest, has everything that I've been created been in my heart, my own truth. So all I can do is continue to share that truth in the most desired field. Oh, obsessed tooth. Interesting with the teeth stuff, and I'd say that kind of the depth of the loneliness that we face, and then, Yeah, a lot of the physical symptoms coming up have, so abscess there's an element of like resentment and anger potentially when we create abscess. I had like a huge rash twice come up on my shoulder, which I knew was part of this, me releasing this burden that I feel me of service to humanity. And it's like, fuck that. We are the one humanity. And so if we're not fully 100% in total service to self, then we're not. And then of course we still have to shape and shape shift and show down through the light of our awareness, or shine down through the light of our awareness, all those layers. And know, again, this is part of the paradigm shift, the reversal of the world's thinking. When something's making manifest, so you guys were here with me when I was shape-shifting all this lurgy, mucus, bleh, you know, when those things appear in the body, we're actually releasing something. It's not that we're sickly lowly, but when we're conscious working through these layers, we've been burning through certain emotional karmic backlog or belief systems. Right? And we can hold space for the pain of these things, and that's part of, again, shape shifting our cellular coding to empower the truth of our being versus giving into the lack or giving into the, hey cat, how are you? That our bodies are these sickly vessels. They're not. Once an abscess appears, once a cold makes manifest, or flu symptoms make manifest, or you know, a rash is coming out, recognize that it's coming out of our body, especially when we can hold space for ourselves and still empower. For me, like when I was holding space for the lurgy, which lasted longer, was empowering a few different angles here. Was like, one, my body is always healing. It's always, my body is always regenerating itself and healing itself, and I can always hold space for the clearing out of that, exactly, healing via some of these deeper emotional processes and quantum healings that we've been endeavoring together. And then via those deeper quantum healings, we then go to the next level of bottoming out with the densities that we carry to then rise to the next level, i.e., this morning, and then seeing more with more clarity. Release that, release that, release that. I don't, any business owner or just a human would recognize there comes these breaking points within the self where it's like, I can't do it all. No person expanding a business can do every single role all the time, every day, and hold it down. When I'm you know, not responding to people's emails because I'm trying to do this, that, and the other, and I think, well, it's not working. So it's me taking responsibility for that totality in these last few cycles and waves that we've been purging and clearing and healing and transforming, to then rise into the clarity space of the next level, which again, shapeshifting my reality, trusting my intuition. I'm bored of the other social media sites. I'm not really enjoying them, and so I'm just gonna drop it and focus on my YouTube community, because oh yeah, love as I love the most. Not love the Facebook and Instagram community, but to just be honest with myself. Where do I most enjoy my time with you guys here? Straight up legit. You know, where do I most feel the reciprocated respect and love? YouTube community is where it's at. And it's y'all who have purchased into the live share crew as well. So I'm like, well, this is my tribe then. This is where I'm gonna focus my energy. And then a few of you who you know who you are clients of our major supports of the All to Love brand. And so I'll focus my time on the people who are investing and financially supporting the work that I do. And that's just makes good sense, doesn't it? And for all y'all who show up here, and I know reflect back the earnestness of the heart space. I know that by the way that you comment and share, that you're in alignment with your soul, which is how you're able to share the way you share, and which is how you're able to reflect back my own clarity. And sometimes, from time to time, you send me lovely messages which trigger me and remind me of who I truly am. And that is also something I am fiercely committed to on this journey, and have been for many years, because I don't want to go into this next journey with a bunch of ego entanglements of self-importance, which doesn't align with the truth of my heart. And so I align myself with conscious creators who don't take my shit neither. You can reflect back to me if I'm running on fear, or reflect back to me if that doesn't really like that, right? And that's why I'm feeling quite in love today, and quite grounded, and quite thankful that I have the community I have. It's been a rough ride this week. No shit, Sherlock. You know, in the old paradigm, it talks about like it's hard work, life is hard, and life is, and this is true of new paradigm energies. This is true of spiritual awakening. It's not necessarily easy, you know. However, it's more expansive, and it's more loving. When we're facing down our density, it's taking us to a better place versus going round in circles, living in effing misery, taking no responsibility for the self, and just complaining about how shitty things are. And again, living in miserable fuckery rather than going, well, there's a whole bunch of fucking bullshit and I must be a part of that if I'm still talking about it. So I'm going to take responsibility for my life. And I'm going to shapeshift my reality by owning and transforming all of my patterns and all of my emotional baggage and all of the thoughts that go along with it. And within that transformational process, I'll endeavor to find higher frequency thought form, which feels better, and which I can honestly testify via myself and the clients that I've worked with that it is challenging and it is relentless doing this whole paradigm shift and spiritual awakening mumbo jumbo. And yet the difference of the challenge here is that it takes us to higher heights. It takes us to better feeling spaces. It takes us to a greater sense of expanse and healing and divinity and dominion of self, so that I don't have to play victim to being a disempowered creator or being enslaved via a program which would tell me that even my body is separate from me and my body is just this weak thing which I'm going to need pharmaceutical drugs to heal every time I feel a bit of a wobble. Versus owning and transforming every wobble and every illness as my own karma. But karma is always here now. And I can choose to buy into the negative projection of karma versus this is mine to own and transform in the light of my awareness and go to higher heights and reach for better feelings and reach for a more empowered sense of self, which, dare I say, my lovers, it's we're here. We're getting somewhere. Let's octave up together. It's so true. Authenticity is not easy, but very rewarding. Exactly. This is it. This is the octave which we're actually, after some years of intensity and this sort of like the last couple days as well. I've been feeling grace under fire has a deeper meaning. Right, it sure does. Walking on a tightrope. Focus has a different meaning when we're walking on a tightrope. When we're facing down the shadows, you know, when we're, you know, it's a little bit different than sitting on the sofa watching TV. Versus you stop doing those patterns and then you set yourself on this path of walking on a tightrope. You're going to force yourself to focus. You know, when you ain't got no safety net underneath you, you're going to have hella focus. And for a lot of us, I think that's what we resonate with, is that my life has been walking on this fucking tightrope, living in discomfort and living in fucking, but every time it's like, don't fall now. You're halfway across the tightrope. You know, you're halfway, and right now I got to say, as we approach the 2020 astrology, it's like, we're right there. I'm right on the, right on the other side. There's just a few more little baby steps to take. Just stay fucking focused, you know? Don't fall now. Don't give up now. Exactly. Be with the folk that you res with and fly and soar. And be the example of the new paradigm energy, because we are. There's no shadow of doubt in my beingness, because we are. We hold space. We love. And it's been so deep and intense. We were all heroes in this epic journey. Yes, hells to the yuza. You know why I know that as well? Because I would say, you know, for a lot of us, the reason we all took these leaps and journeys is because we knew that other deserved it too. We saw oppression and injustice and suffering reflected back to us, and we thought, no, we all deserve to be here, every single one of us. We all deserve to live in love and grace. We don't, no longer are we here to just bend over and be fucked by a few people who think that they get to possess and lord over and manipulate and deceive and be greedy and hoard and rape and pillage and possess the resources here. No, no. This is a shared creative field. I can't get enough air up at these higher altitudes of consciousness. It's so true, isn't it? Like, I think that's part of my weird walking through material world or 3D world. It's like, it feels like floating above, floating around, observing, and knowing that this is my main hub of community, because I feel that there's a resonance in a heart field in a vortexual sense beyond the veil. This is the safest place for me to share, because in the 3D reality, I often find just my fucking presence triggers such a multitude of aspect and other that I'm not there to disturb, you know? And so I need to step back and focus where it feels right. And I've got a few friends in my inner circle in my 3D reality, which is more than enough for a simple introvert like me, you know? And then for me, what I'm really enjoying lately are just really long walks in the city. Ooh, I like that. Yeah, the highs become as humbling as the lows. Yeah, right? Yes. Oh my gosh. And that is such a beautiful insight, because that is where we're really bridging into non-duality as a beingness that we are. Right? Goodbye. Goodbye. Yes, John. Yes, yes, yes. This is so exciting. Yes, goodbye to the Engelbite. Well, because that's that underlying lackey vibes that still kind of weigh us down, and I'm like, oh, it's just hurting now, and I can't do that to myself anymore, and I don't deserve, because none of us deserve that. So we can just continue to ride them waves in the higher octave frequencies, you know. Hug a tree, I'll stay with you, do that. Yeah. Oh, it is that. You know, the long walks the long walks on the river. Oh, my battery's getting low, so I'll be closing down. Insurance turned right down to my wobble. Picked my last time, read how that says reach for the stars, for sure, and keep reaching for the stars. Yeah, okay, so thank you, Mary, bringing me back. It's that, yes, freedom, my North Node inside. Ooh, yeah, girl. Yeah. So the humbling highs and lows to me is reflective of our reaching that higher octave, finding a greater sense of balance and integrity and authenticity in that higher octave, which means we truly are not being triggered by the polarity of duality. We hold space for the highs, we hold space for the lows, we ride it out. We hold space for the highs, we ride it out. We truly are anchored in a more unified sense with intuition, hence the idea of getting out in front of it in the leading edge. If we've never been here before, then who are we to tell anybody else what to do, other than to continue hone in on the specificity and or the visceral connectivity of manifestation on a physical timeline. We are all great teachers in our beingness. And yet our ability to teach is still being the ever-present student of life, a student of a universal cosmic co-creation that we call life on Earth, and owning it as our own as well. Yeah. Right. Well, hey, we're still at the leading edge endeavoring all of this, because we could all probably reflect back. We have many brothers and sisters who are still choosing to live in denial instead, and that's okay. Again, I'm not so bothered by it, because this week I spent a lot of time transforming my resentment. Because I don't have enough, or I don't. It's like, oh, anyway, am I ever bored of that story? So this is a story of shapeshifting the reality for all to love, and welcoming greater support, welcoming greater freedom, joy, balance, and you're all here with me, and so you're joining me in this wild ride on a higher level, on a higher frequency, and you guys know I fucking love you so much. Yes, Vancouver next week. Book a gig and let me know if anyone is around. John, Vancouver, I shall endeavor to put you in touch with my mum. I'm sure you guys could have a coffee or something together and she would enjoy that immensely. So my battery's gonna run out and I just wanted to share that insight with you. I am gonna finish the monthly readings for December. Where am I at? I think I finished up to Aquarius, so I shall be doing Pisces, and I started at Scorpio this month, so I've got a few more to do. But I'll endeavor, some of those I'll do live, some of them not. If you want to join Live Share Crew, feel free to go to altalove.com, subscribe there. And you guys know the spiel. Buy the book, buy some Alta Love merch. Feel free to send in blogs or vlogs if you want to contribute. And some of you, again, and I'll get better at this as I continue to refine where my energy is best used. But I want to get back on sharing stuff on the Alta Love community page. So John and Chic, those of you creating content on YouTube, it's not maybe that far reaching now, but I'm sure it will be further reaching in time. And I'll share your guys' videos on the Alta Love community page. Hey, Jordan. What up, sister? Hey, mega love for you. Thank you for showing up and choosing love. That is all. Have a great day, my lovers. Have a beautiful evening. And remember, just stay true to you and keep listening and trusting that intuition, because we are the new paradigm. So let's dream sweetly and endeavor to have an empowered and beautiful day. And yeah. What's up? Positive vibrashe. Thank you guys. Oh yeah, virtual. Lori, you're so good at reminding me. Virtual hugs. So this is Jordan. If you're new here, this is where I hug my phone to be like, I'm hugging all y'all lovers. Virtual hugs, and flaring of the nostrils, because that is legit awesome. You guys have an awesome day. Let's go on and rampage through the world, and I'll speak to you guys real soon. Peace out.